Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeper Michael, and we return to Horror on the Orient Express, where we are back in Milan and hot on the trail of likely some Alfa Romeo auto workers. More on that in a moment. So first, we'd like to get to our introductions. So if I might, to my right.
Hello, this is Mike, and I'm playing James Robert Fraser, who is trying desperately to maintain an air of discreet investigation.
Yeah, well, that may go out the window tonight. But again, put a pin in that. We'll be back to it. To his right.
Hi, I'm Rena. I play Lady Elizabeth Fitzroy, and I'm just hoping everyone else hasn't set Milan on fire without me.
Oh, not yet. It's okay. Milan is here. It could still be burned. You've not missed that much. At the end of the table.
Hi, this is Giles, and I'm playing Simon Griffith, and I'm in pursuit of the man in the yellow suit.
That's true. It's not even like the man in the yellow hat, but it is the man in the yellow suit. We'll see what happens when you catch him, if you catch him for that matter. To Mr. Griffith's right.
Hi, I'm Miranda, and I play Maggie Bellinger, and I just had a thought. Hear me out. I wonder if we could use the simulacrum parts as a sort of simulacrum dowsing rod to find the other parts, and I think me and Richard may have to experiment with this later.
That's a fantastic idea. I can't wait for the pain it will cause you. And last but most certainly not least.
I'm Martin, and I'm playing Richard Courtenay, and Richard's just waiting for Maggie again.
Yes, it does seem like that happens a fair often bit, but Richard's a patient man most of the time. So we raised the curtain tonight on the Alfa Romeo factory in Milan, where a couple of our investigators are staking out or leaving the sales portion of the building. But more importantly, another investigator is hot on the trail of a man in a yellow shirt. And so, Simon, after dealing with the situation inside the cafeteria as best you can, you'd been pressed verbally by Anthony to track down this Peter fellow who's run out of the building. And you decided that you were going to go ahead and shift your focus and head after him, yes?
Now that Anthony is temporarily safe, yes.
Okay. You head out the door at what I imagine is probably a pretty brisk pace, because you know that this Peter gentleman is probably a little bit further ahead of you at this point. And what I would like you to do is I would like you to make me a spot hidden roll. In fact, I'm going to ask Mr. Fraser and Lady Elizabeth to also make a spot hidden roll as well, as likely they'll have an opportunity to see Simon moving at a high rate of speed towards the back of this estate area where Alfa Romeos are made.
95.
Whoops.
It's 96 for a fumble, right?
Correct.
Okay, so just under, but still, I don't see anything.
That's a 48 under 78.
Okay, more than enough, sir, more than enough.
And I got a 90.
Okay, you look to the right and look to the left, and you're not certain whether or not he's gone to some deeper part of the factory or maybe somewhere else. But, Mr. Fraser, you do see that Simon has exited out of the building, and he's making his way towards the back, and he seems to be doing so in search of something. You do not see Anthony with him.
I'm going to have a quick look around to see where we are in relation to the showroom and the various people that we've already spoken to, and whether if I rush over to where Simon is to see what's going on, whether I'm going to get spotted doing that. Because I still want to maintain the illusion that we are leaving, we've seen what we came to see, and we're just making our way off away again.
There is a fair amount of this portico pieces that stretch out from the front of the building towards the back half. And you think that if you get Lady Elizabeth back a little bit closer towards the car, you might be able to split off and use these portico colonnade pieces to kind of aid your ability to get back there. Might still take a stealth roll, might still take or at least perhaps some quick work, dexterity-wise, to do that, but not impossible.
Okay. Your Ladyship, I think after that altercation in the cafeteria, I think Simon might be in some kind of trouble. With your leave, I'm going to see if I can make my way over to him. I've just spied him exiting the building over there.
By all means, Mr. Fraser. Someone has to do the looking after.
Thank you, Your Ladyship. Would you be all right on your own getting back to the car? Or do you wish to accompany me?
I can walk, Mr. Fraser. Thank you. Well, I can set off after you, but I will slow you down. So if you think Mr. Griffith is in some immediate need of assistance, perhaps you would like to speed off.
Thank you, Your Ladyship. I'll see you as soon as I can. And I will make my way with all haste, as subtly and discreetly as I can, over to where Simon is. Try and catch him up.
Okay. So I'd like you to give me... I'd take Dex or Stealth, your choice, depending upon the method you're choosing to move.
Well, as my Stealth is better than my Dex, I'm going to take Stealth. Oh dear. That is a fail on my Stealth.
All right.
However, with your permission, I'd like to push that roll.
In which way would you be pushing it, sir?
Okay, so basically I've just been moving in a fairly direct line towards where I think I can get round the corner of a building or a colonnade or something like that. But I can see that that's maybe going to bring me into direct view of one of the windows. So I am going to get down on my hunkers, get down kind of close to the ground. I'm going to have to move closer to the building in order to get around a slightly different way. But as long as nobody looks out the windows or steps out the front door, I should be able to get round this particular bit of the building unobserved and get to where I want to go. I'm hoping.
Seems reasonable.
Okay, so I will try that push roll. That is also a fail. 75 over 69.
All right, fair enough. You continue onward, seeing Simon not too far from you. You're fairly certain that no one from inside the Alfa Romeo sales office has seen you, and you continue to proceed down the way. Lady Elizabeth, for your portion of this, what you likely see is, well, that salesman that Mr. Fraser was speaking with earlier seems to be trying to finish a note, and he's there in a nearby glass window, and he seems to, with pad and pencil in hand, seems to turn as James makes his way back deeper into the factory. But very well, you continue on.
All that hard work completely blown.
Yes, well done, sir. So you continue on, and Simon is probably a good, we'll say about 100 or so yards away at this point. He's moving at quite the clip, but after you get past the glass windows of the office, you're free to pick up speed.
Which I shall do, and see if I can catch him up.
Okay.
If I reach him, Simon, what the hell is going on?
We know someone who was involved with the Spinola issue, and he booked while the fist fight was occurring in the cafeteria. The other workers were coming for him.
How on earth did a fight break out?
Spot hidden rolls, both of you.
05 under 78.
81.
All right. Yeah, Mr. Fraser, you see specifically the two gentlemen. You see the two yellow shirts move from right to left. They're moving towards a warehouse at the far end of the yard.
Simon, look. Is that them?
Oh, yeah. They were both wearing the yellow shirts. They're both young people, and they are both involved in what happened with Mr. Spinola,
Come on then.
which also means they are involved in that blood magic.
I've already started moving, even as he's still
Oh,
speaking.
yeah, I'm sprinting.
Yeah, the two of you hustle in. As you get closer to the warehouse, you can see the men have pulled open they have these large sliding doors. It's like a large barn door, maybe. They've slid it open, and they've just ducked inside. You continue your pursuit. The first thing we want to do is make a con roll to determine movement.
Yep, so my movement rate currently is 7, and my con is 85.
It is.
That's a 22.
Okay. So that's a hard success.
That's a hard success, which will just leave my con as is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my con is 90, and my movement rate is 9.
9, wow.
And so that's a 55 under 90.
Okay, so that's a success, but not an extreme. Yeah, no, essentially Simon is built for chasing people down.
Yeah, he's fast as you like.
There's more than that. So I have the moves, the number of moves, then, number of actions of the combatants.
So I'm hoping that they don't have a move of 10 or more, because otherwise they're just going to get away.
They do
And the
not.
chase ended.
And here we are. Oh, it's over. So they do not. What I will allow you to is listen rolls upon entering. That seems fair.
Yeah. Okay. And I have failed it. 86 over 56.
I'm going to spend 2 luck to make that a success.
All right. So, Simon, you see something to the right of the board.
Okay.
So towards the right.
Jim, to the left.
What? Where? Okay, I'll start moving to the left then, I guess.
So you and I need to roll contested dex because
Okay.
2 combatants in this have the same dexterity.
All right.
And so it's whoever scores the best, which is kind of nice.
I rolled a 0-4.
You definitely go first.
Can I drop into stealth, into the shadows? I'm assuming from the appearance here, it is dark inside the warehouse.
It is mostly dark, yes. It would be the skill roll will cost you a movement action.
I will take that.
Okay, so that's your movement action is to roll stealth, so go ahead.
That is a fail. 67 over 60.
Understood. Go ahead, Simon, with your next action then.
Okay. I am going to start moving over towards the left, slowly and carefully, but I'm also going to draw the toothpick. Or do you want the toothpick to be one action?
I'm going to assume you're already moving carefully because you're stealthing, right?
I'm just worried that they're going to be arming themselves and attacking us. So yeah.
Certainly. So if you're going to ready a weapon,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Right. And then you're going to move deeper in, or are you going to... So I don't want to have readying a weapon taking your entire action. Seems a little silly.
I will be moving deeper in, like there. Does that look fine?
Certainly. So upon moving there, you would reveal, at least in part, an area. And you see like the tail end of somebody's boot moving deeper into the facility. You see someone moving that way.
Okay.
So you all hear something clatter, like a box falls somewhere in this warehouse, right? So it's a large warehouse. It's full of crates. They're probably stacked between 2 or 3 crates high. So anywhere between, roughly speaking, about 6 feet to maybe 9 feet high. There's a lot of cover in this warehouse overall. Okay, but you definitely hear something move. James's dexterity is 60. Would you go ahead and give me a dexterity roll as well, sir?
Oh, okay.
There's another gentleman in the building that has a similar dexterity.
27.
You do beat him.
Okay.
So if you'd like to take your actions, sir, or action as it were.
Okay, so is Simon indicating to me where he's headed towards? I'm going to move up, drawing my weapon. And I think when I get to there, I'm going to start moving down to see if I can maybe pincer maneuver whoever it is we're trying to catch up with.
Okay.
So you can just tell me how far I can get. Have I just got one action, or have I got more than one action?
You have one action.
So I'm just going to move basically as far down. If I can get down to the corner here.
Yeah, you can get down to the corner there.
Okay, and just sort of wait there, looking and listening very quietly and carefully.
Okay. So for his action, he is going to move. So, Mr. Fraser, you would see a form pass just a bit. You're on the corner there, but I assume that you probably have a bit of a right eye vision of...
I'm trying to be able to, peek around the corner a little bit, so, if I can maybe see both ways or at least one way. And I'll try and signal to Simon that the direction that he's gone.
Mm-hmm. He's just going to move. So he moves deeper into the warehouse.
Does he look like he's kind of trying to sort of creep along quietly and carefully?
No, he is moving.
He's just moving, okay.
Yeah, he's not being subtle in any way, shape, or form. You can hear him, his panting breath. You can hear he's eager to get away. All right, so that is the entirety of the exhausted actions that are available. We'd move back up to Simon.
All right, since he's not using any kinds of subtlety or stealth, I'm going to do a full move down to here. Is that correct?
Yep, that's one. So in this long area of the warehouse, you catch sight of a couple of things, right? It's a little hard to see down what lays beyond here, but it does look like at the far end of this hallway, you see a big window, and there's a grate on this window. But it looks like, at least from your vantage point, it looks like that's what he's headed for.
Okay. I'm going to go in full pursuit at this point.
Okay. So you hear someone shout something in Italian in the warehouse. The both of you are Simon is absolutely certain that it's not the person running who shouts something. And Fraser, you would hear something off in another direction of the warehouse that someone was shouting. And then now, if you'd like, Simon, you can take your second action.
To the next point?
Uh-huh. You can close on him if you would like.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have an action to be able to take. You're just with him on that space, but you have to have an action to take before you can fight with him. Right, but it does give you a little bit more view of the space. So we'll give you... you can see here that there are smaller, what look like just dark offices that are nearby. Mr. Fraser, that's your action.
Yeah, okay. So if I can see Simon has run down that way to get him, if I can, I will have indicated to him that I'm going a different direction. I'll leave this fella to him and I'll head off. Did I hear the sound coming from over kind of this direction?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm going to move off around that way. Is this all just solid packing crates down below me here, yeah?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. The stuff that's directly what would be in front of James at this point is basically a 3-tier high wall of packing crates.
So I want to move down to here to a point where I can look round the corner to make sure I'm not just running out into somebody who's just going to immediately shoot me.
Sure.
And look round the corner to see what I can see down this aisle here. So
okay, you look around the corner just a bit, and you see that there is a young man in a worker's outfit with this yellow shirt on, and he is seeming to react to something going on that looks like in front of him. He's not facing you. You see the side of his face.
Mm-hmm.
You're fairly certain this is one of the young men that was involved directly in the fighting with Simon and the rest of the workers.
Okay. Right, sorry. So is he wearing a yellow shirt? The guy that
yeah, he is.
Yeah, and we saw 2 people with yellow shirts running into the building.
Yep.
And the other guy that I saw, was he wearing a yellow shirt as well?
He was.
Right. Okay, so as far as I know, then there is nobody else here, unless there was already somebody here. Is this chap down that I'm looking at now, is he looking across towards where I saw Simon run to?
You think so, yeah.
Yeah.
He seems to be almost reacting to something going on over there.
Right. In which case, I am going to aim my pistol at him.
Okay.
And if I've still got enough of actions to be able to do it, I'm going to say very clearly, "Do not move, sir. I have you in my sights."
Okay. He probably turns just out of shock.
Yeah, and I'm obviously I'm holding the pistol and with a straight arm pointing straight at him.
Okay. We'll see what he does next round. Simon, this gentleman here that you're basically on top of is going to move to the window with his action. And he begins trying to claw at the iron grate that's over this window to try to get it open so he can get out the window. And that will leave us back to the top of the round with you, sir.
So I take my one action and I catch up to this individual. Is this individual Peter from the table?
He is not.
Okay. And I have my knife out and I yell, "Down."
Okay, so while we have been skipping back and forth between you and the other person is at 90, you have another action. The other person at 90 right now can't do anything to possibly affect you. So if you'd like to just make your intimidate roll or whatever skill roll you'd like, whether it be fighting brawl or intimidate, I'm happy to have you do it now.
I'm going to go with the intimidate. I'd rather not have to kill anybody. And that's a fail, but I'm not going to push this.
He turns back around on you, obviously, when you tell him to get down, and we'll see what he does in a moment. So, yeah, I think what I'm going to do for your man that you're covering there, Mr. Fraser, is I'm going to have him make a power roll to see if he has the guts to move on you.
Okay.
If you've got a pistol aimed at him, let's see if Peter has the wherewithal to move. It seems he does. And so Peter, who clearly is not willing to let this go, he is bolting at this point deeper into the warehouse.
And unfortunately, I can't actually shoot him because that's
I know.
The mechanics don't allow it.
They do not. So he is going to take his action then, and since he can't affect anything right now that Simon has a part of, nor he it, I'm going to allow him to use his second action just to kind of spice things up a little bit because I think it would be fun. And you hear a great clattering of boxes. All right.
I don't like it when you laugh like that.
But it's so much fun. Now, Mr. Fraser, if you would like to take your action, it is now your action.
Yeah, I'm just going to run up to here again. As you know, when I'm reaching a point where I'm going to run out into open space, I'm going to make sure it's clear before I come out. But my aim is to get to here.
Certainly. So you see what the noise is all about.
He's just pulled
it
down a load
seems
of crates,
anyway.
isn't he?
He's climbed on these crates.
Oh, he's climbed on them. What a lunatic!
Climbed up on these crates in hopes of getting away from the two of you.
I'm pointing my gun at him and saying, "What are you doing, you idiot? Get down from there."
Fair enough. Simon, this man, that's a huge knife. I don't know that he's particularly seen something like that. He's just an auto worker. Yeah, that's a 91 on his power roll. He backs up against the wall and puts his hands up. And he shouts something out in Italian.
Is there any possibility with the fact that I've been skimming Italian phrase books that I might know a word or two of what these people have been shouting?
You think that the shout that you just heard is something like, well, give me a intelligence roll.
Yeah, sure.
That would be fun.
You know, if it's any kind of really common word that's forming part of the sentence, like, you know,
Sure.
like help or stop or yeah, that's 36 under 60.
You think the man in back may have shouted, "I give up"?
Oh, right, okay. So when you say in back, you mean the guy that Simon's on?
Yeah.
Simon, he's surrendering.
And speaking of Simon, it is your action, sir.
Then I'm going to reach out with my free hand, turn him around, and gently push him to his knees.
Okay. Yeah, he He's compliant. He doesn't put up a fight. He's scared.
Fraser, I've got this one. Where's the other one? Peter.
I don't know who it is, but he's trying to climb up on the boxes. I don't know what he thinks he's playing at.
So he is going to take his action in this chase, because the chase is not over, to move along these boxes. However, it is precarious atop these crates. And so he has a bit of an obstacle to move over to get to his next position point. Then with a 14, he can move to the next position point. So he moves along these boxes. And now he's in view of you, Simon, here at the end. You've got the angle that you can see on top of some of these boxes. And you see what looks like Peter basically making an end around on top of these boxes to get back towards the front of the building.
Fraser, looks like he's making a run for the front.
Oh, for goodness sake. Does he look like he can get down the other way?
I mean, it's only 10 feet.
He's mad. What does he think he's doing?
His knees are better than yours.
Well, I'm not climbing up there. I'm not insane.
Do you want to cover this one and I go for the other one?
No. I'll get him. If he tries to jump down, I'll just shoot him.
Very well. It would be your action, Simon. So are you taking yourself out of the chase for now to cover this combatant here?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think I have handcuffs or anything like that.
No.
So I'm just going to make sure I secure the gentleman as best as I can.
Fair enough. So it'll actually come to Mr. Fraser's action before
Sure.
Peter gets one because of the obstacle.
Yeah, I'm just going to run back up there and just cover
Sure.
the boxes. Just wait for him to come down.
So you are now obviously staring up now, so you're seeing more of this. He is going to continue to move on top of these boxes in hopes of getting... It's not going to come towards you, obviously. He's going to hopefully be able to jump to here, but to do that, he's going to have to make yet another roll.
I mean, I'm covering him with my pistol, so...
So he does not make the roll. And so what happens is a crate falls off here and clatters onto the ground along with him. And he'll lose one of his movement actions because he's going to be taking some damage and then trying to recover before he moves out. Jeez. Took quite a bit. Took 3 points of damage there and loses a movement action. All right, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You're the only other person in the chase. You really all have to do is walk down the way.
That's what I'm just going to point the pistol straight at him and walk towards him saying, "Stay right where you are or I will shoot you. Do you understand, man?"
You're not sure that he speaks English, but he certainly speaks Smith & Wesson. He puts his hands up. You can see him wincing in pain. It's clear that he's rolled an ankle or perhaps hurt his knee.
Yes, I don't care. Just going to grab him by the scruff of the neck and huckle him down to where Simon has got the other fella. Move.
So you collect the two of them down here at the end, and assumably the two of you are going to perhaps have a discussion with them.
We might need Anthony for this one, unless Peter, do you speak English?
He shakes his head no.
What about you?
My name is Bruno.
Yes? Bruno, you speak English? Any more than to say your name?
Yes?
Good. Because we've got some questions for the pair of you.
He looks at Peter. Peter looks disgusted that he's been caught.
We understand that you were the last individuals to see Mr. Spinola alive.
Give me a psychology roll, Mr. Fraser.
Oh, okay. That's a big old fail, 89 over 40.
Understood. Bruno says, Spinola, yeah.
What did you do to him?
We did nothing. I did nothing to him. Puts his hands up.
Who did you turn him over to?
Turn over. I didn't turn him over to anyone.
I'm just going to backhand the guy.
And I'm going to do a psychology roll.
There's a big meaty chop sound in the room.
Nope, that's a fail. 39/20.
Bruno says, we were told to come with. That he taps Peter on the arm. Good man. He needed us there.
Who? Tell us everything, start to finish. Now.
You see Peter look over at Bruno and shake his head no. He says something in Italian to Bruno.
I can assure you that whatever you think this person will do to you, what we will do, if you do not give us this information, is incalculably more.
Bruno, do you see the size of this knife here? Do you see how sharp it is? It's very, very sharp. Slices through knuckles with no problem. I'm counting on your hand there. Well, including all 5 fingers, that's about 15. So, before you're useless, that would be 15 questions we get to ask. So I don't know, I could do it to Peter too, if he'd like to, if he thinks he's man enough to just take it.
Okay. Go ahead and make me an intimidation roll, Mr. Griffith.
With a bonus die?
Certainly. And I will caution you that you risk sanity at following through with your actions.
I understand. Is that including with my talent?
Certainly. There are lines even for those people.
Okay. I have a 20 with the bonus dice. That's under 25, so that would be a pass.
Bruno gets real scared, shaking scared. And he begins to divulge a story to you that seems like something cut out of one of the horrific tales or tomes that Lady Elizabeth seems to carry around with her. He talks about a night just a few nights ago where he was asked by Peter to accompany him to a warehouse not far from the center of Milan. And this warehouse, he just needed to be present for. He just needed to be there as protection for what could occur. And Bruno tells you that it wouldn't be the first time that he's done protection work. But that's not what happened. They drug this auto worker into this machines part place. And 2 men, along with Peter, were there. One man was the owner of the machine parts location, Flavio Conti. The other man, he says, is a gentleman that is pretty well known in the city. And that man's name is Arturo Focacci. And that they were part of some grisly scene where Focacci cut out the lungs of Spinola. And Bruno was forced to watch them add the lungs to Conti, who, he says, had been in ailing health for many years. And Bruno continues to tell you that he's going to have to leave town. He's going to have to leave the city because he's going to be killed. The people that Conti and Focacci deal with, these people, will come for him.
Do I recognize either of these? Well, obviously I recognize the Conti name. Do I recognize the name Arturo Focacci from the list that I've been provided with at the...
If you cross-reference the list, Focacci's name is on it.
I just mentally cross-reference it because I've memorized it.
Yep.
Fraser,
Aye.
We still got a little bit of that scratch we took off of the professor, right?
Aye.
Bruno, are you friends with Peter, or are you disgusted with Peter right now?
He doesn't really say anything. He doesn't know what to say.
My suggestion is Mr. Fraser, why don't you spot him some cash? And we suggest you get to England. There's car manufacturers up there, and you'll be far enough away. We'll take Mr. Peter from here.
He shakes his head in the affirmative. You see Peter get really disgusted.
Are you telling us that you are an innocent party here who was duped into following orders?
Bruno professes to you in fairly, again, broken English that he has known Peter for a couple of years. They've worked at the factory together. He was just as anybody was looking for extra money in a country that is not yet come back to what it once was.
Psychology.
Right.
Nope.
Yep.
35.
Could I make a psychology roll as well?
Clearly.
Yeah. Oh, that's a 09. That is not quite an extreme. That's a hard
Pretty
psychology check. Yeah.
So two things become fairly evident to you, Mr. Fraser. One is Bruno does seem like a bystander that's been pulled in.
Mhm.
And yeah, maybe some of his past activities maybe were not so noble, but being a bodyguard isn't necessarily a ignoble practice. He does seem like he definitely didn't know what was going to happen before it happened. On the other hand, the second point, and likely the more salient one at this point, is that Peter did know what was going to happen. You can tell by all of his reactions. He knew what was going to happen and likely suckered his friend into providing something, whether it be a pair of eyes or whatnot, into being there to watch this go down, because it's likely that they had to hold Spinola down to have them do this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably looking at the two men in the room who held Spinola down while his lungs were carved out of his back.
Yes. Why should we not just leave you to your fate after what you did? Give me one good reason.
Bruno goes palms up and just says, I had no idea that it was going to happen. I had no idea they would do that to him. I thought they were going to threaten him. I thought that he owed Conti money, or maybe he had stolen something. I had no idea, but they didn't even use a blade.
And yet you stayed.
What do you mean they didn't use a blade?
We held him down, and I thought they were going to have him a good talk with him. They had us roll him over onto his stomach. And Focaccia, he said these words I'd never heard before. And he dipped his hand into Spinola's back as if it was a pool of water and simply removed the lungs, tissue and all.
And yet you stayed.
He may have been frozen stiff with fear at that point.
Why did you stay? Why did you not run when you saw this happening?
I could not find my feet. God did not let me move.
Fraser reaches into his pocket, takes out a few bills, enough to get away. Here, take this. Take a train, get as far as you can, don't come back. If I ever see you again, I will not be responsible for my actions. Do you understand me, sir?
He takes the money and runs from the warehouse.
Now, Mr. Peter here, Mr. Fraser, I have a feeling that Lady E would like to have a nice, long talk.
Speaking of, Lady E, you see a man in a yellow shirt run from a nearby warehouse. He continues to run. Anthony at this point has met back up with you. His face is a little bruised. He has a rag over his nose, like he's been punched in the face rather soundly. And then as this gentleman runs out of the factory facility and then down into the street, Anthony says, I think that's one of the guys. Where's the other one?
Oh, no.
I'm sure it's fine. Let me start the car.
Yes, you should probably start the car. I assume we're going to need to get out of here in a hurry. Dear me.
I agree. So, Maggie and Richard, I'd like to know, for the rest of that day, you were going to look at the clothier upstairs, yes?
Correct. We'll go talk to them to see if maybe whatever part was procured is on a mannequin somewhere.
So you get up to the costumery with these weird directions that they've given you, and you find the door locked. There's a little sign, right? out front. It's a cute sign, and it says, "We'll be back tomorrow." If you look at the door itself and kind of the space here, you would notice of all, Maggie, that the space here feels a little cold. In fact, it almost reminds you of the cold you felt in Poissy.
Richard, you wouldn't happen to have means of entry, would you? This door seems to be locked.
So just looking around, is this a place where there's other people walking past or likely to walk past?
It looks like with the clothery, this area here, specifically the costume place, shut down, at least maybe for the day. It's quite possible that it's not going to be too many people back here. Maybe after some of the staff finishes with their numbers, they'd come back eventually. But this is likely where costumes are made before they're put on racks and then delivered downstairs.
And I love when we show up and there's no witnesses.
Then let me take a quick look, he says quietly. Rummages around in his pocket and maybe looks for some bits on the floor, maybe a couple of old nails or a little bit of wire or something, that kind of thing. And then has a look at the lock.
Sure. Seems like a reasonably simple lock. Nothing complex.
I think I might be able to, encourage it a little.
Well, go ahead.
Richard starts to fiddle with the lock.
Indeed, you begin to fiddle. So go ahead and give me a lock picking roll.
Richard's not that good at picking lock. 61 against 20, so no.
Okay. You see Richard move all these two long pins back and forth inside the lock for a little bit of time, but doesn't seem like he has command over this lock.
Oh, damn it! I don't think this is it's quite stiff. I don't think these pins are quite thick enough. Can you see if you can find a slightly something with a little bit more girth that perhaps won't be as springy in the lock?
Maggie would maybe pull out her purse and see if she had anything on her various, hair care items and such that she travels with.
Certainly.
Some hairpins. I maybe just pull one out.
Yeah, you could just yank one right out and be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Maybe I can try one of these and see if yes, I may have a little more luck.
Push the roll.
That's Richard will push the roll if he can there.
Absolutely.
This is suicide with a skill level of 20, isn't it?
Suicide? Maybe.
I guess we rolled. What did I roll last time? I rolled 62 this time.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't help me.
No,
that's true.
No, it doesn't.
But it doesn't help you, but the Hand of Fate is here to step in and help. And so you're going to go ahead and open the lock, but I'd like you to roll 1d4.
2.
All right, so you're going to take a single point of hit point damage from me as you get a little overzealous with this lock, becoming so determined to unlock it that the bobby pin or the hairpin that Maggie gives you digs all the way into your palm. You get the door unlocked. You hear the satisfying click, but it costs you a little blood in return.
I seem to have slipped again.
Are you okay, Richard?
I'll be fine. Oh, let me clean that then. Richard sticks the pin under his arm and sort of pulls it out to wipe the blood off. And there we go. It's clean again, at least.
Thank you, Richard.
He's now bleeding all over the place.
I would imagine I would have some sort of handkerchief that I could give him to kind of wrap around his hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
It might be red by the time I give it back to you.
Nothing that a little soda won't fix. Well, shall we make our way in?
Yes, let's see if we can find this thing. After your last experience with the arm, if we find another arm, I think you should perhaps pick it up with something. I mean, we're in a costumery. Maybe a woolly jumper or something to avoid touching it directly.
Yes, that sounds like a fine idea.
Okay. The door opens, and before you is something probably the size of about a Pullman carriage, meaning it's a clothing rack the size of, well, a train car. And there are any number of dresses and clothing pieces. This isn't a place where clothing is stored. This is where it's manufactured. They manufacture every piece of clothing here at the Opera House.
Well, we expected it to be on a mannequin of some sort. There's this large clothing rack here. Are there any mannequins around?
Yeah, I mean, there are 6 along the back wall there. They're adorned with various costumes. They look like they've been worked at recently.
Do any of them give me a sense of the heebie-jeebies?
Do you have a heebie-jeebies sensor?
I don't think I put any points in heebie-jeebies.
Is it up to date?
And it might not be.
Okay. I'm just checking.
I'll move to examine the mannequins, not knowing which part we're looking for, but also not necessarily wanting to directly touch. So I'll be kind of moving clothes out of the way to see if anything matches.
You and I have played this game before, Maggie, so why don't you make me a hard dexterity roll?
Okay.
Just so that you don't touch anything you shouldn't.
I got an extreme dex roll.
Well done, Miss Bellinger.
985.
You inspect very carefully all 6 dummies. And one thing is very clear after the inspection, and that is they are all made of wood.
Oh, these are all wooden, Richard.
I have an idea. Do you remember back in the hotel, Lady Elizabeth came up with this idea? And she was concerned with the connection between your arm and your real arm, and also the one that we put in the pot.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps if I was to use the device again, I should be able to see a connection between the other arm or whatever on earth it is, and perhaps leading off somewhere else if somebody's touched it, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yes, and you might just be able to
see where it is. So, quite sort of deftly, Richard will reach into his jacket pocket with his slightly larger pocket that he's expanded and pull the device out and stick it on his face.
All right. So, we all know how this goes, Richard. So why don't you give me a power roll?
Time to lose some more magic points.
That's correct.
That's 32 under 80, so that's a hard success.
All right, and let's see what this little journey costs you, my friend. So you'll go ahead and use 4 points of magic.
Okay, so that's 3 left.
And which lenses are you using in specific?
So we're going to do some... He's not quite sure exactly what they all do at the minute, but we're going to go for blue and green.
Okay, so we know what the blue lens does, yes?
Yes. So blue lens will give us some sort of microscopic view. I mean, we're not doing any distance work or anything like that, but we are definitely looking for something. So Richard sort of is associating that with the blue lens. And green, he's got an inkling, intuitively feels it may be an intuitive kind of lens.
Yes, it seems anyway that you continue to pick up that same feeling from the green lens. You get a little bit more thread vision here. And you can see that there are threads that used to be in this room that now are no longer here. This entire room, the energy of it, there seems to be a vacuum in one specific spot. It looks like there used to be a 7th mannequin.
I think it was over there. Look, there's I can see in, well, my sight a space, a place where a 7th should be. But can you see a space there for a mannequin as if somebody's removed it?
He's like gesturing with the device on, reaching out.
Does it appear like there's an empty spot where a mannequin would have once stood?
There certainly could have been a mannequin there. There's enough space for one.
Yes. It looks like there's room for one, Richard, but I don't see any evidence. Do you think maybe the new the new costume maker, that they maybe took it or moved it?
Yes, I wonder. I mean, we could have a look in the theatre. I mean, I guess I can't walk around with this on. Hang on. We're in a costumery, aren't we?
We are?
Difficult for me to see exactly what's going on here, but can you see something with a cloak and maybe something that would cover my face if I was to put the cloak on, and then perhaps you could lead me around and I could like that childhood game where you play hot and cold. I could say hot if we came across something which looked interesting from a kind of thready sort of point of view.
Yes, I'll see if I can find something.
Excellent.
So you locate a couple of things, Miss Bellinger. One is the closest thing to a cloak you probably find is some more Arabic or Egyptian-style clothing that would be here for the production. But you also spot something that is probably off-season from a different production, and it is a pair of darker lenses meant for likely somebody playing a blind character. And you think, while they might not necessarily be useful in the immediate sense, they may be useful to Richard later.
Okay, I will snag both of those. Well, Richard, I found some glasses that we may be able to disguise your eyes. I'm not sure why we'd want to do that, but maybe in the future. But I did find a sort of cloak here that we may be able to keep you out of view, at least the sextant.
Excellent. Well, would you help me put it on?
Oh, of course.
So when you help him put it on, he looks like a robed pharaoh almost, because there's a huge hood that goes with this.
We'll have to be careful, Richard. I wouldn't want you to end up out on stage.
No, quite. I'm not very good an actor, I have to say.
You might get confused for cast.
So the two of you exit out and back downstairs. Richard, you continuing with the lens firmly attached to the device and in position, and you kind of begin to walk downstairs. And you can see that some of the threads get a little brighter as you go downstairs. But Maggie, you run into a serious problem, and that is a stage manager who, as you come back into the back area, has noticed you, and this woman takes zero shit. You can tell it immediately as soon as you walk into the back area. And she notices you and points at you and says, "You're not a member of cast." She says it in a language that only your mother understands. You instantly know what she's talking about, even though it doesn't come across in English.
Yep.
And she points to the door that leads outside. And she says, out, both of you, out.
Richard, are we supposed to... Does it lead outside?
I don't think I can see anything. Can I see that?
Is outside the right way to go?
Yeah.
Good question, Richard. Why don't you give me a power roll?
No. Just check that one. No, that's a 95. That's a bit of a fail, that one.
Absolutely, that's the right way to go.
I think you might be onto something there. Yes, let's go outside.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. Our beg our pardons. We were just testing the costumes. Yes, we'll be out of your hair shortly. Should we leave this? Yeah, take it with us.
She continues to shoo you to the point where Marco picks up on what she's saying, and he comes in and helps you get out the door.
I'm assuming without the pharaoh costume.
See here. Why don't you roll luck, Maggie, and we'll see if
Okay.
Richard gets to keep the costume.
Okay. You never know when one of those are going to come in handy. Oh no, it was a 98 over 64.
Oh my God. So not only do you not get to keep it, but the stage manager, she rips the costume piece off of Richard, and you're exposed there kind of holding the device. I assume you'd probably cradle it a little closer as this costume comes away.
Oh, do be careful with that. You wouldn't want to rip it this close to the show.
You both are unceremoniously pushed outdoors.
Reg will pop the device off quickly before anyone else sees it.
So back to the factory. Gentlemen, and I use that term loosely in some cases, gentlemen, you're in the warehouse there with Peter, and it's fairly clear that Peter's more upset that he's been caught than upset that Spinola is been murdered. Not only murdered, but quite frankly put to pieces.
I am going to take off my tie and use it to tie his hands behind his back.
Alrighty.
You're coming with us, laddie.
It's fairly clear that he's discussed that he's been caught, but he's not stupid enough to try to put up some sort of fight at this point.
Right, well, let's get him out of here, shall we, Simon? See what he's got to say for himself. I suppose we're going to need a translator.
Well, how about you head out, check on Lady E, and bring the car around?
Aye. Yes, I'm sure I could do that.
So, as you exit the warehouse, Mr. Fraser, you see a auto coming towards you, bearing Lady Elizabeth and a rather bruised and slightly bloodied Anthony, who is doing his best to maintain his driving position. You are beset upon them.
I shall hail them as they approach. Your ladyship, Anthony, dear fellow, listen, allow me to drive. You're in no condition. We need to get you looked at. We have another passenger.
Oh?
Your ladyship, I know it's unusual,
yes,
but
Mr. Fraser.
Would you care to sit in the front? I think the passenger that we are bringing into the car might not be particularly suitable to be a travelling companion in the back for you.
In the front.
Well, it's either
With
that,
staff.
your ladyship, or sit beside this miscreant where that Simon's bringing out. Entirely up to yourself, of course.
Well, I suppose if one needs, one must. But we shan't speak of this again.
Of course not, your
Shall
ladyship.
we?
Mum's the word.
I very distastefully get in the front seat, like just sort of looking at it and almost just like, really? The front? But then I get in.
And then I guess we'll wait for Simon to get this fellow into the back. Maybe
Certainly.
Sit him between Simon and Anthony.
Oh yeah, you do so.
Anthony, we've got Peter here, and he was directly involved in what happened to Spinola. I don't think it's a good idea necessarily to take him back to the hotel.
No, we keep him at the apartment.
It would. Do you think the housekeeper would mind?
Oh, she will not mind.
Because he was directly involved what happened inside too.
He's staring daggers at Peter. I'll keep a close watch on him.
Do we need to tell Giano as well?
Oh, Giono, the foreman?
Yes.
It's better we don't speak a word of it to him. We should go.
Then let us go.
And I shall take the car out and drive away off back to the apartment.
You do so. Anthony directs you to park in the alley behind the apartment, and he, along with Simon, move Peter into the apartment. It doesn't seem like Isabel's not happy about it. You can tell just by the way she's talking, but Anthony begins to explain in a very rapid fire version, and then you see her attitude change. Like, she does a very quick about face, and from the impression you get, Mr. Fraser, it seems like Anthony is telling her that Peter is involved with the disappearance of Katerina. And Peter gets a chair that he's allowed to sit in. Anthony sits him in the chair, and they literally bind him to the chair.
I'm going to also, if Simon or Peter hasn't already done so, frisk the man and take anything off him that he's got, like identification, weaponry, anything like that.
Simon has not.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have any weaponry on him. He has a wrench in his back pocket, but it's a small millimeter wrench. It's not good for anything other than small work.
Anthony? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say I will hold on to his wallet and identification papers as well.
Okay.
There is a man that I want to show these to.
Anthony, so Bruno, the other individual with Peter here, is guilty but not guilty, and we more or less let him go for reasons. But Bruno told us that Peter is involved with Conti, who was also present there, and an Arturo Focaccia.
Please, just pick one.
I believe it's Focacci, Simon.
Yes, Focacci.
Do you know who these people are?
I know that Arturo Focacci is a very important man in the city.
Could he be related to anything going on with... I mean, he's obviously related to what happened here, but what about with Caterina, too? Would Conti or Focacci be involved with Caterina?
It's possible.
Does he have any connection in any way to the opera?
Oh, certainly. Certainly. He has a voice. He can sing.
Would he want Caterina out of the way?
It's possible.
Well, could you ask Peter if he knows about Caterina? I have a feeling he might.
Anthony turns to Peter and he kind of begins to verbally slow walk Peter through a couple of things. And Peter doesn't respond. And after like the third question, Anthony hits Peter pretty hard. And you can see that Anthony's blood is up. He's angry about something. And he's bruised, having taken quite a walloping earlier today. Peter replies with a rather long sentence, but it's one breath. Il senza pelle, nascer negato. And Anthony's facial features, you can tell instantly that he's dumbfounded.
Anthony, what did he say? Was it to do with singing?
No, I've never heard it before. He said the skin this one will not be denied.
I've seen this before. Well, Miss Maggie has seen this before. I think we have a link for Jim.
Who is the skinless one? Ask him that. Who is the skinless one?
He asks him. Peter says, in near perfect English, "You'll find out." When he says "you'll find out," it's not Peter's voice. Can you roll sand now?
Yes, I will roll sanity now. That is one off a fumble. That's a 95 on my sanity.
I got 58 out of 58. I just made it.
So, Mr. Fraser, I'm going to take 2 points of sanity from you. Okay. And I'm going to take a single point of sanity from you, Mr. Griffith. I don't imagine Lady Elizabeth came inside for that or is present for what could likely be a torture scene. Well, it's not really torture, but...
Of course not. That would be very unladylike.
It's an interrogation.
Right.
I need plausible deniability anyway.
That's correct. I promise I wasn't here.
Jim, you be Mr. White, and I'll be...
Jim has just staggered back.
He continues speaking with a very low tone in his voice. And he says very pointedly to you, Mr. Fraser,
"You can't save her. You can't save her. She's gone."
And I will just punch him as hard as I can in the face.
All right, so it's not contested, right? So I won't have you roll for it unless you're seeking to get a critical, I guess.
Yes.
All right, then you.
I'm just going to grab him by the scruff of the neck and just hammer into his face.
All right, so roll brawl for me, please, with advantage.
Well, particularly high fighting brawl, but I've got a fighting brawl of 36, so I got hard success. I got 11 from that. Didn't get.
That's quite a significant pop. So roll damage.
4 on a d4.
Okay, so that's 5 damage then?
Yep.
All right. You lay into him. And given his wounds from before, he's not a pulp character.
Unless I'm stopped, I will probably hit him again.
I'm going to stop you, Jim.
Well, before either of you stop or fire again, I'm going to make a con roll. Because non-pulp characters get major wounds. Yeah, you hit him real hard, and you hear a pretty significant pop from his face. So, Simon, you're going to step in before Fraser hits him again?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess at that point, if Mr. Fraser is going to stop, then you let me know.
If Simon steps in and kind of restrains him, even if it's only a kind of a light touch restraint, then Fraser will kind of take a deep breath through his gritted teeth.
Jim, the scum don't deserve to live, and something is speaking through him. Like Granny used to have when she was a medium, someone is using this piece of shit to speak through. But we still have information we can get. Where we need to go, and how many people are there that we're going to have to fight.
Is the guy still conscious?
No, he's passed out now.
If we kill him, we can't get that info.
Hear what he said. Did you hear what he said?
Oh, yeah. Would you like to see the insurance come out?
I will not have it.
We also have some candles. We're going to have to deal with Conti and this Focacci, and we need to find out what kind of safe house they have and locked doors and things we have to get through.
What was that? That was not him.
I don't know, but do you remember the Duke?
Of course I remember the Duke.
Remember he made your knee pop without touching your knee as...
It is not something, Simon, that I am likely to forget in a hurry.
Exactly, and what I'm saying is we're dealing with some dark shit here. So this is where we need to bring in Lady E with her knowledge of this...
We're not bringing Lady Elizabeth Fitzroy in here.
No, but we can tell her what happened. She might be able to illuminate it.
He's calmly sitting outside in a book, reading a book in the car.
Oh, for sure.
How did Anthony react to the voice that came out of this man, Peter?
He's definitely shook. He's shaking a bit. You can see that he is... if he was a mixed drink, sir, he would be equal parts fear and equal parts anger.
Anthony, so now we know that Peter here and those he works for kidnapped Miss Cavallero.
Yeah. You can see Isabel in the background is like making the sign of the cross.
No. No, it can't be. It cannot be. It cannot be. It cannot be.
Do we have any muscle? Can we get some people together? It sounds like, these people are no good if they killed a Union man for a sacrifice for dark magic.
I've had enough of this. I'm going to leave the room and go and find Lady Elizabeth.
She is outside in the auto. Lady Elizabeth, Mr. Fraser comes back out without his tie on.
He is up to Hido, as they say.
Mr. Fraser. Fun, are we?
No, I am not having fun. Beg your pardon, your ladyship. No. There's something I need to talk to you about.
Close my book and put it back in my handbag. Yes, Mr. Fraser?
This man, Peter, whatever, and his associate, Bruno, they spoke of the, I don't know what to call it, ceremony that took place in the workshop. They were there. They saw what happened. He says that the owner of the workshop was a sick man, had a lung condition. He says that they brought in this other man and they removed his lungs and placed it in the other fellow, the sick fellow. But they did it He says they did it with magic, Your Ladyship. It's like you said. He said, just like you said when we were there. And now they have... Now they have Caterina Cavallero. And I fear for her. I fear what they're going to do to her. They say this man sings. What if they try and take her voice out of her, take her throat out of her? Like they did with this man's lungs, with their dark... I don't know what to do, Your Ladyship.
Well, first things first, Mr. Fraser. Does this young man know anything about where she is? Can he give you any leads?
He is temporarily indisposed, Your Ladyship. I'm sure that soon he will be able to answer more questions, but something happened in there. Something I can't explain.
Mr. Griffith happened, I assume?
No. It wasn't that. It was... He spoke to us. This boy, Peter. He doesn't speak any English, but he spoke to us in perfect English. And it wasn't his voice, Your Ladyship. It was something... It was... I can't explain it. And it said that thing. Do you remember when Miss Bellinger was in the library in London, in the British Museum? Do you remember the note that she found? Spoke of the skin.
Skinless one, yes.
Yes. That's what he said, Your Ladyship. That's exactly what he said.
It wasn't the Duke's voice, was it?
No, it was something else. It was something deeper, darker, somehow.
Well, at least there's that, I suppose. Obviously, we can't allow anything to happen to young Miss Cavallero, if we can at all prevent it. But you'll have to find out where she is, Mr. Fraser, and I will lend whatever assistance I can, or that you think I can, in this particular matter, because I don't particularly want anything bad to happen to anyone with this sort of black magic, as you refer to it. So, we have to know where she is, or who took her, or something. We have to have something to go on before I can really do much.
He is a wealthy man. I would imagine he has property, if not in town, out of town. If we can find where he lives, find perhaps any property that he owns. There is a member of the constabulary here, a detective who I have spoken to. I think I need to speak to him again and tell him at least some of what we've discovered. Perhaps he can help. Perhaps he can point us in the right direction.
Mike,
Yes.
do I remember in the Dreamlands, I said I was taking special note of the spell that Maeve cast, the protection spell.
Mhm.
How much of that do I remember? Because I was paying very close attention.
Hard power roll.
Let's see. My pal's pretty good. Ooh, 24 under 70.
Yeah, you'd probably need time to recreate it on paper.
Well, Mr. Fraser, if you remember the shared dream experience or whatever it was that we had with the other people, the American woman, Miss O'Shea, I learned that protection ritual she cast. I think I can recreate it. If we can get to Miss Cavallero and I can recreate this ritual, I can keep her safe in there while we deal with or more accurately, while you and Mr. Griffith deal with this, I hesitate to use the term gentleman, but I think I could at least offer that. I know you don't like the idea of me dabbling in such things, but if it can protect her, and it could protect me at the same time, I think it's worth doing.
It seems that whatever it is that's going on here, it's got the devil's hand in it. Sometimes, I suppose, you have to fight fire with fire. And I don't know how else to deal with this. I don't even pretend to understand what's going on here, and you do. You do, your ladyship. You understand this. And I can't deny that. However I feel about it, I can't deny that. So, if you're willing and if you're able to assist in whatever way you deem appropriate, then I would be eternally grateful.
There's a slight pause, and then I very intentionally break protocol, and I just put a hand on Mr. Fraser's forearm. James, I'm not going to get into the habit of this, but it will be all right. We will do whatever we can. And I know I have gotten on your nerves a little bit, let's say, with my dabblings in the occult side of things, and I know it's been difficult for you coming to face with such things. And I am sorry that you had to learn the truth of their existence in such difficult ways. But we will do what we can. I don't know the exact nature of whatever it is we're fighting, whether it's Satan, the devil, or just the devil in mankind. Whatever it is evil. We are in accord on that. And I promise you, I will do whatever I can to help you with Miss Cavallero and to stop whatever this is. You know, I rely on you to keep me from my darker nature, so to speak. And you've done a very good job of that, and now you're going to help Miss Cavallero, and I'm going to help you. And then I pull my hand back and settle back down into my natural seating position. We will do this together.
So for the moment or two of easement you might get from a break in protocol, the scene itself is broken a bit by Anthony leading Simon back out of the house towards the car. Anthony stops over and acknowledges you, Lady Elizabeth, and then says to the group of you, I am going to speak with some of the auto workers. We are going to make a very specific stop at Mr. Conti's home.
Do you require any assistance?
No.
Understood.
Anthony? Would you be needing any backup just because of what happened in Mr. Conti's factory warehouse?
I fought in the war.
So did we.
The men I bring all served. We won't need any backup.
Let's just leave them to it, Simon.
We need to follow up on this focaccia then.
Indeed. Well, I have some details on him that I obtained whilst we were in the motor showroom. And I do believe our detective acquaintance might be able to furnish us with some additional assistance.
Well, should I take you back to the hotel?
We need to get your bruises and looked at. If you'll allow me, Anthony, I have a little experience with this.
Oh, you're going to have to beat Isabel to it. She's very specific.
Oh, well, I shall leave you in her tender care then.
He nods, probably with a slight wince, and says, you can have use of the car for a little while if you need.
Aye, unless you need it, then...
No, we'll walk. It's something of a tradition. I'm sure that Conti will hear us coming.
Well, good luck to you.
He leaves the three of you with the vehicle, which, if you'd like, can transport you back to the hotel. And we can meet with our other two investigators and perhaps have a bit of a stew there at the hotel. So Richard and Maggie manage to not get completely trampled by a stage manager, but they do get, you promptly are outside again Richard, the trail goes cold after being outside. It's a unfortunate circumstance. And then after all of this work with the device, you begin to feel drained pretty rapidly.
The trail appears to have gone cold. I fear I may need some sleep. Maybe I've overdone it. Perhaps things will be brighter. There'll be better trace in the morning.
Oh, yes. Richard, let's get you back to the hotel. You don't look quite well either.
No.
I'm starting to wonder if maybe someone got to this before us, but
Oh.
maybe the Duke or... It's strange. To think about it, the most recent hire hasn't gotten sick yet, so perhaps the part was removed between the last costume designer and the current one.
I'm exhausted, but maybe we should head back to the hotel and perhaps I don't know, Mr. Fraser or Mr. Griffith could investigate. I mean, it's a theatre. Surely it'll be open in the evening. Then there's a show to put on. They may be rehearsing.
Yes. Maybe we can think more clearly after you've rested up.
Yes.
You'd both be fairly well aware that the opera is scheduled for tomorrow night to open.
So maybe rehearsals tonight then. Well, let's head back to the hotel then, Richard.
Yes. It's a little cold out here.
So the two of you get back to the hotel, and then eventually, probably about half an hour or so later, the troupe, Lady Elizabeth, Fraser, and Simon arrive back as well.
Would we be somewhere that they would find us since we all have separate rooms, or?
Yeah, I would assume that Richard's clearly going to need something to drink and something to eat.
Yeah.
After such a strenuous day.
Stairs.
What kind of time of day is it that we're getting back?
So probably 5, 6 p.m.
Well, shall we get freshened up and have an evening meal?
We'll say that the three of you who walk in see the two of them probably at the hotel cafe eating, and it just seems really, really good to just sit down and have a minute.
A whiskey?
Maybe 2. So yeah, we'll say that the 5 of you reconvene and can thus tell each other what in the world has been happening with the others.
Wow.
It looks kind of like the scene at the end of Avengers where they're all eating shawarma and just like sitting there silently eating and not looking at each other.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Mr. Fraser is definitely kind of somewhat subdued.
We do. We got a small lead on the next part of the simulacrum while we were out.
Yes.
We found out who killed the Union man.
Richard looks completely disinterested.
There's some unorthodox powers at work.
It was using magic.
Oh, Richard looks more interested.
Mr. Fraser's pushing his fish around his plate with his fork.
Richard brightens as if it's time for last call. Like you can see the drained look in his eyes, but yet the man who wants one more beer.
Yes.
Oh, did you find Katerina?
That's next on our list.
We think we know.
We know who
I
took it.
have a working theory that someone has done ill to her so that they may take her place at the show.
Hey, who would that be?
What was that? Richard, do you remember what that name was?
I believe it was, I don't speak very good Italian. Arturo...
Focacci?
Funny you should mention that name, Miss Maggie. This Mr. Arturo was involved in dark magic, taking someone's lungs out of him with his bare hands.
I beg your pardon.
The waiter nearby turns towards the table.
I beg your pardon.
Let's just say your working theory may have more to it. It may not just be a theory.
It lines up very well with what we've discovered, is what he's trying to say.
I'm American. It's hard.
I'm a little concerned that somebody's already stolen this thing. Perhaps, I'm not really up to it at the minute, but perhaps somebody should take a look and complete the search of the theatre.
What is it you're looking for?
I've no idea. I mean, it's some sort of body part, I guess.
Do you remember when we set off from London and we were looking for pieces of a simulacrum?
That's what they're referring to, Jim.
Yes, highly amusing. Now, do you know specifically what it is you're looking for?
My concept on this is this Arturo is replacing Miss Katerina,
Yes.
and Arturo
I'm sorry, what?
is doing scary stuff. I have a feeling he might have this missing part that you are in search of.
Well, that would make sense. When we went to the theater, we were told that if Katerina doesn't return, then they were considering having Arturo fill her part. And all
I'm sorry.
of
I'm sorry. Hold on just a moment. They're having a man fill a soprano part in Aida.
That's what it sounded like to me.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
Is Aida an Egyptian play?
Aida's an opera. The part that Cavallero is playing is a soprano part, a woman's voice, a high woman's voice.
Well, I am
a man's
just
voice,
informing you.
A man would not sing a soprano part. Simple as that.
Of what the head prop maker told us.
Mr. Fraser, remember our discussion at the car about what the plan might be regarding Miss Cavallero?
Yes, aye. Well, perhaps he has an ingenue, and that is his intention.
Well, I have an idea. You may want to cover Fraser's ears so he doesn't hear this. But if Arturo can remove one form of part from an individual, maybe he can remove the voice box from another.
Suppose possible. But you see, back to what we were saying was that the clothiers at the theater had been getting sick, one after another, falling very ill. So when we spoke to the Mr. Roshanti, he said that the part that he bought in Paris, he probably brought back for a mannequin, and one of the mannequins is missing. So we believe that someone, possibly this Arturo fella, has taken it.
A mannequin, you say? They were getting sick. How were they getting sick? I remember when we were at the house of the doctor in Paris. His little girl had some sort of looked like scarring or burning, some sort of rash on her arm, and that's where we found the arm part. How were these people getting ill?
Well, I remember the last one was a very bad case of asthma.
Asthma. That's the lungs, is it not?
Yes. Possibly this is the torso we're looking for.
Right. And that would fit in with a mannequin, a dressmaker's dummy.
Yes.
Oh, well done. That's excellent deduction.
Aye, well, that may well be it. I think that you've hit the nail on the head there. And you think this fellow Focacci he's brought this part of the mannequin perhaps to, I don't know, does it help him in what he's trying to do perhaps? But is that what he thinks?
Well, I don't know, because the arm hasn't helped me in any way yet. But he may have knowledge beyond mine in which he can harness these things.
Well, we clearly don't know exactly what's going on. We've got our theories, but we do know, or we've got a very strong suspicion, that this fellow is up to some... Well, he's certainly involved in some very dark deeds indeed. And if he has these kind of designs on Signorina Cavallero in the same way that he did with this poor man from the factory, then we don't have any time to waste.
Well, do we confront him directly then, or do we take more of a stealth approach?
I think if he is of the same ilk as the Duke, then confronting him directly might be quite a dangerous path. If we can find some way to, I don't know, get into the property that we believe Miss Cavallero might be being held in without being seen, then that might be the more cautious approach. But whether or not we can do that is another thing. We don't really know anything yet. We need to find out where she is. That's our first thing.
I could try and use the device again. I probably need some sleep first, but
I think we could all do with some sleep, Professor.
Certainly.
I think on that note, it is time to end. So thank you so much for joining us as we get to what is likely the penultimate portion of Milan. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode and the episode previously for the Antiwar Express. I certainly hope to have your listening ears back for next week.